I'm gonna go with a more traditional answer for me. "Little Brother's All for You." Fonte's verse on that was definitely like one of the more personal and like vulnerable verses, where he was talking about his struggles with relationships and how much he felt like the people in his life wanted to see him fail as a father, as a single father. It was definitely one of those moments where it's like, okay, this guy who was really, already proving his worth as somebody who had a nasty pen and like, just excellent skills as an MC. It was very autobiographical, and it was very I don't know, just for lack of a better term, just kind of moving. And I think that we measure the metrics of a lot of MCs and judge them on things, but not everybody can bar out and then also get very, very personal and intimate in their writing. So while it's not necessarily like throw this on your mixtape, it's like we got the saddest verse that Fonte recorded. To me, it stands out in a time when vulnerability is still not something that is necessarily always showcased in these songs. So yeah, I got to give it to Fonte for that.
Fontegolo.
Fonte had a lot of great verses on that project.
Yeah,
Fonte is crazy, in retrospect. I mean, even in real time at that point in time, he was another artist that could be really simple in approach, but really multi-layered in how he connected with people. I mean, even from the what was that line on the yo-yo? His verse on the yo-yo was like a hip hop quotable in the source,
yeah,
which was, and it's just a verse about the contradictions with like Hotep, Hotep contradictions before even Hotep was a term, and
right.
there was a whole lot of that on the Minstrel Show too.
Yeah, that was great. Justin, what's your pick?
I'm gonna go with Kanye West Gone. Pick the verse or the
Mm,
last verse. And again, I know we keep coming back to the same names, and I think that's also just emblematic of the year and the year and the times. But particularly that last verse, again, there's a lot of just straight up flexing on the mic from Ye when it comes to him as a rapper, which isn't necessarily, I think, the way that we mostly think about Ye. And at that point in time, I personally think he was doing more rapping then than he ever did later in his career.
yeah,
Right. So to that point, the influences that he had from Consequence and from Rhymefest, I think you can still hear stylistically. But there's a whole lot of him all over it. And the layered metaphor of this opening this store and then closing this store because people don't appreciate him. Right. Perhaps maybe Ye should have done that at a certain point in his career, like after Pablo, maybe, maybe that we'd see something a little bit different than all my
it's
niggas
it's
Nazis, nigga Heil
sad.
Hitler. You know what I
It's
mean? But
sad, man. You know what?
but
Even before the Hitler stuff, I think, I don't think I'm stepping too far out of pocket saying this. The real problem, I would say, is that the music just not has been connecting. It hasn't been connecting, and it hasn't been hitting, for the last few. And I think that that kind of fuels the antics of I got to do something. So there is like the notion of that idea, like, yo, if you had just quit when you were ahead, if you had like stopped and then left the people waiting for more, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I just like I don't
I'll
know.
say
It's
this:
like
I'm never a proponent of people retiring. If you want to keep creating, I'm always with that. Two, I like Vultures One. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I actually like Vultures One. I think it's one of the times he actually sounds fun. Sounds like he's
I
having a good time. But I think the bigger issue with Ye is which is his gift and his curse, his strength and his weakness. But he perpetually continues to fight to be younger, and I
mm,
think that sort of adds a puerile nature to a lot of his stuff right now because of just where the youth are. And,
mm.
so when I look at the stuff he's doing now, or even the people he's working with, if you look at the people he works with over the course of time, they're the people who represent that era. So now we're down to Dave Blunt's, you know what I mean? And I'm not sure he's elevating Dave. I don't think he's elevating Dave Blunt's. I think Dave Blunt's is bringing Ye down to his level. And I think that's a pattern that's been happening in the past decade.
All right, I'll say this. I think I saw Kanye one time on 106 in Park back in the day, and he spoke about he. Do you remember when he said like my albums need to be a time capsule of that particular time?
Yep.
Remember when he
mhm.
said that?
Hmm.
I think that's what that is. Is he's minimizing all of what he could do or where he could lead it or lead hip hop, but instead Lil Baby's the hottest guy in this era. I need to work with him because he's the hottest and put my stamp and make this music for this time, which is why I think he continues to do that. I think it minimizes his greatness because I think he's better sometimes than in time. Sometimes he's more talented and
Right.
could be. Donda to me is one of his best albums by a long shot. But
Really?
yes, if you go back and listen to Donda, the production, what
Crazy.
he's doing, it's incredible. Like God didn't really take his gift from him. He
Right.
just Kanye just ruined his name and has a bad, taste in everyone's mouth. So we write him off, but he still has the gift and the talent. It's just kind of like you said, what he chooses to rap about sometimes, and do the people even want to listen. But if you listen to Donda, the first one, you're like, that's Kanye. He's like channeling the emotions about his mom and all the things that he was going through in a good way. That's the best way he's done it.
I
Some of
mean,
this other stuff, it's a bit much.
like
I think
Jesus Lord is
Fire.
it's an altar call with a
Yes.
Muslim and a drug dealer.
It's beautiful.
Like just conceptually,
Yes.
he's
Does anybody
like right after Jay Electronica raps,
Oh my
then
God.
Ye comes in and says,
Oh
"Tell
my
me
God.
if you know someone
Yeah.
that
oh,
needs Jesus." Like yo, it's so
Fire.
crazy. It's a crazy
Fire.
juxtaposition when you look at it. I love that
the,
shit.
the thing that I know we're on a quick thing tangent to the left, but the thing that Ye reminds me of is that movie Walk Hard,
Okay.
The
Go
one
on.
The Dewey Cox story.
Yeah.
Oh, right,
With
right, right, right. Gotcha, gotcha.
there's that whole like part of the Dewey Cox story where like he's trying to make the perfect song and he's fucking bringing every animal from Africa and all kinds of different and he's working on one song for 7 years and shit. Like I feel like that's Ye. Like at some point as an artist, and this is why I've always said, bro, like one thing I loved about Mobb Deep, and I've said this a million times. One thing I love about Mobb Deep is when you play a Mobb, there's a new announcement, Mobb Deep album coming out. Guess what? I already know what it sounds like, and I'm very happy about that. It's gonna be Prodigy and Havoc. They're gonna shoot everybody. The beats are gonna be dark. Phenomenal. This is great. I know it from the jump. So then when it sounds like that, I'm not disappointed. I knew what I was getting when I was going into it, and I'm excited to hear it.
Like
Right?
Pusha T.
Like Pusha T, right? Where we get crazy is that like we don't be ready for artists to switch it up and push the envelope and come with a new Steve. Like
No.
we don't really want that. We say we want that, but we don't really want that. You know what I'm saying? Like I want Cuban Links 17 times in a row. Like that's what I want. You know what I'm saying? And I think from an artist standpoint, certain artists are like, I did this already. I need to take it to another level. But you can't always find another level.
But
You
see,
know,
that's
that works.
interesting because I would contend that I actually really enjoyed Kanye's reinvention and the way that if you look at the 6, 7 first albums, that although he clearly was like, yes, he was doing revisions and things, I really enjoyed that he was kind of reinventing and flipping it and that I didn't know what I was going to get. What to your point, but kind of on the opposition of that, I think my bigger problem with the more recent Ye stuff aesthetically is that it doesn't sound like he spent a long time in the studio reconfiguring.
Facts.
It seems like first idea, great. Reference
Facts.
vocal, cool. Don't you want to recut that? Nah, it's fine. Like,
Nope.
yeah,
Oh no,
and
he does recut it once you have it. So that comes out, then he changes the versions 8 times, and you got to re-download it 14 times to
my
make sure
look,
that you got the latest one.
I'm wearing a Dilla Doom shirt right now. You should know enough about what my aesthetic is. My biggest thing, even when I first heard the College Dropout, I thought there was something wrong with my CD or my car, like stereo, because I was like, why do the drums not knock the way I think that drums should knock? You got to meet people where they're at sometimes. And like, look, Ye was not going to have Pete Rock drums. He wasn't going to have, Mob Deep drums, even like Alchemist or anything like that. But, for me, the more recent stuff, it sounds too much like a sketch, even not vocally, just like production wise. They don't feel cooked. And I don't, look, it's like the Andre 3000 piano album. It's like, I appreciate it in concept. It's cool that he did this, but like, keep that shit on your iPhone, bro. Like those are voice memos. Like,
Because artists can become holier than thou in the sense that they're the smartest person in the room.
Right.
So Ye is now making music from the I'm the smartest person in the room standpoint. And like, you just don't get it. Like, this shit is genius. You just don't get it. You're gonna get it in 10 years, bro. Why? Like, I'm in the future. And it's like, nah, not really, bro. You're not in the future. You're right here, and it's just not very good.
He said you're right here.
Yeah, we saw. I'm gonna not slander a whole bunch of people in this and just name other artists who've done the same thing, but there's a lot where it's like, I'm on another level, bro. You just ain't catch up to me yet. And it's like,
You're
That's what
not.
Joel
I don't know,
Santana,
D.
Joel's used to say that all the time. He got to a point it was like, I don't think you are, Jules. I don't think so. I
Is
don't
it
think
is it
you're
but to your point, the last album that he had to me that was cooked was Donda.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
he took time to do that. So if you listen to that, you'll be like, okay, he takes time. And even the beginning, I think where he said his mom's name, Donda, he does it, I think, with her heart palpitations is what he's done. Like, so he's thinking. And I like when they think. I don't like when they just go.
All right, I will revisit Donda because I appreciate your input and feedback on it. We just spoke about Kanye West for a very long time. All that is to say, Kanye West "Gone" is Justin's favorite verse of 2005. MidaZ, what do you have up for your favorite verse?
I'm gonna go with the Super Flow with more jokes with more jokes than Bazooka Joe, a mix between Superfly Snooker and a Super Ho. Chew a MC like El Chupanibre. Digest the group and sell a poop on eBay.
eBay.
Danger with the vest screaming, shoot the DJ.
DJ.
Yo, come on, B. I love that verse. Like, state your intentions. I really love your tape, but I hate your
Hate your
inventions.
inventions. Very well.
Very well. What you want, a brownie? Yo, son.
Put me where you
MF
found me.
Doom on El Chupanibre
Yeah.
is one of my favorite MF Doom verses of all time, which is a really wild thing to say when the fact that MF Doom has 7,000 of my favorite verses of all time, and this is
Yes.
one of my favorite of the favorites.
Yeah.
I think about beef rap. I think about different stuff that's on Mad Villainy, different stuff that's on Vaudeville Villain. But El Chupanibre is so crazy as a verse, and even like the little side disses that he throws at Monster Island Czars is crazy. Like, once joined the rap crew, midgets into crunk. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's just all the MF Doom isms were on display on this verse. And it set the album off. Like, right out the gate, you get no bullshit. You go straight into El Chupanibre, and he goes crazy. So I'm gonna go with El Chupanibre, MF Doom.
All right, so verse of the year, mine is Bun B off of his album Trill.
Trill.
His verse is called it's actually a song. It's called The Story. And the verse is about 5 minutes long. There's no hook. He's just rapping the entire time. So it's technically a verse. Yeah. And so it reminds me of Andre on Love Below, A Day in the Life of Andre Benjamin,
Right.
where he raps his whole journey from how he becomes start to finish of his career, where the rapping part of his career, basically. Bun is kind of the same thing. The story is basically about how him and Pimp got together and started UGK, and the label situations that he went through, about doing big pimping with Jay-Z, and he was saying how that he would want to do it, but Pimp wasn't sure, and he felt like that they would, alienate their fan base by going commercial. And then he talks about with Jive, about why his label, why I think it was like the Riding Dirty label the album got like pushed back, is because the label wanted to do Big Pimpin' 2. He wanted to get another verse from Jay, Hype Williams do the beat, and Timberland, and they were like, we kind of weren't sure, so they kind of pulled the plug on the album, so they lose the funding because they didn't want to do it. And so, yeah, so that's how they went stale. And but he explains it beautifully. Then Pimp goes to jail, and so he's out. That's when he started his Free Pimp C campaign, going on all those features, kind of killing it. things that he was going on in his own life, about like depression and drinking and getting back closer to God. It is, you probably never heard Bun B rap like this. Bun B, you just think a hard 16
Yeah.
that's sonically perfect and
Mhm.
within the margins of every rule of hip hop, perfect. But this one is a little different. This one is like, it's introspective, it's vulnerability, it's everything. It's one of his best verses and songs. It's called The Story, Bun B.
Wow.
I had to pull
Yeah.
that up. I have not heard
I
that.
haven't heard Trill in a long time, and I don't remember that, song, but now I really
Yeah,
wanna check it out because, yeah,
yeah,
you're right,
yeah,
he is so great, like, he's to Midas's point, you can hear a Bun B verse before you hear it, you know what you're gonna
yes,
get, and you know you're gonna like it, like,
yep,
he's a craftsman at what he does,
yes,
but the idea of him, like, kind of coloring outside of the lines a little bit and, like, really just
yep,
going off for 5 minutes, like, I know what I'm
yep,
doing as soon as we end this, I'm gonna go
yep.
listen to that song.
He starts the verse, say, "This is the realest rap I ever wrote or said." That from right there, that lets you know.